weeks as we're counting down to our national convention in New Orleans, and we can't wait for all of you to be with us together. So we're here today. I'm really excited to be here with President Riccobono. Hello, President Riccobono.
Greetings.
And we are also joined by Norma Crosby, our secretary and also president of the NFB of Texas. Hey, Norma.
Good morning.
Well, we are here today. I know that everybody is getting ready for convention and packing and making sure that we all have all the information we need to make our convention warm and welcoming and a great place for everybody. So we're going to take some time today to review our protocols. So President Riccobono, I'm going to turn it over to you first to share a quick summary of our COVID protocols.
Yeah, so we have a challenge this year coming together in person for the first time in 3 years to think about how to do a convention in a responsible way, considering the coronavirus. And we've given a lot of thought to this and trying to make sure that we set a baseline that every single attendee at our convention can feel comfortable and safe, and that we as an organization have done all of the things that we could do. And so in talking about our COVID safety protocols, these are really intended to make sure that everybody in our federation community can have a great convention experience. So a little overview. The first is that we're asking every single convention attendee to produce a negative COVID-19 test. And that has to be provided within 72 hours of arriving at the convention hotel. One important option that people have available if you are going to test at home, of course, accessibility to at-home testing is still a problem that the Federation's working on. And so our friends at IRA have agreed to provide IRA service for free to individuals needing to perform at-home tests in advance of coming to New Orleans. So thank you to our friends at IRA. And here's a few words from Troy Otilio, IRA's CEO.
Thank you, Mark, and hello, everyone. Here at IRA, we are very excited about this year's convention. It's going to be in person in New Orleans. Myself, some of my staff will be traveling there. Our agents will be working with explorers as they travel and throughout the convention. However, because health and safety are such a priority, IRA is offering our service for free to facilitate independent testing on your own terms, and I'm going to describe how that works. So it's very simple. One, you're going to download the app. If you don't have it already, sign up for an account. If you don't have one, no credit card is required. It's free to use. And you'll click the call button and you'll be connected to one of our live professional agents. Those agents have facilitated thousands of COVID tests. As we know, COVID tests are not generally accessible, unfortunately, something that I know Mark is working on to get more attention to deliver more accessible tests. But in the meantime, IRA is there to support this test. So you've downloaded the app, you've created an account, you've pressed the button, you're talking to a professional agent, and all you need to do is mention the NFB conference and the COVID test. That's it. Any mention of that, the agents know that this is a free offer, and they will stay with you for the duration of your test, including documenting that final negative test result. That picture that they can take remotely will be provided to you. It'll be described, and we can, upon your approval, send it directly to NFB to support the testing protocol and the documentation. So when is it available? When can you make use of this offer? Where can you make use of this offer? Where is anywhere. So if you're at home, in your hotel, wherever you're most comfortable taking the test, you can use this promotion. Second, when? July 2nd and throughout the convention. So I hope that's very clear. Download the app from the App Store, AIRA, make a call, mention NFB, COVID test. The agent and you will work together to complete it. It's really as simple as that. With that, I look forward to seeing you all at the convention, and I wish you health and safe travels.
Before you can participate in convention activities, you have to produce a negative COVID test. We can make sure as best we can that nobody is positive with COVID and potentially contributing to spreading it within our convention environment. The other big thing that we've heard from experts and also from our members that have concerns is how important it is that we all help out minimize the potential spread by wearing masks in and around the convention activities. So this means in convention meetings, in the common areas, in the hallways, in the elevators, obviously anything outside of your individual guest room at either of the hotels where you're not actively eating and drinking. We're asking everybody to wear appropriate face covering to minimize the potential exposure. Also, we do ask that when possible, people observe social physical distancing. That's difficult in the convention environment, which is where masking becomes more important, but we should have an awareness of our surroundings. We should also keep in mind that all of us are coming together at this convention. We all have a responsibility to do what we can. So recognizing we may need a little more degree of patience in the convention environment, that masking will sometimes be hard, especially in the hot New Orleans weather, but the joy of being back together is important. And also the last thing I would mention is that self-monitoring is really important. If you're starting to have symptoms, it's really important that you take that seriously for your own health and for the people around you.
Excellent. I know that we are also looking forward to being together after a few years of not having that opportunity. So we hope this information that we're sharing today will help everybody feel comfortable. And Norma, I would love to hear your thoughts about convention upcoming and how you're preparing and how these protocols will help you and all of us enjoy a great experience together.
Thanks, Pam. Well, first of all, I would like to start by saying I just recently had COVID, and I know that a number of our members have, and it's not a picnic. I'll tell you that. So it's not something we want to encourage people to have. You know, I'm a grandmother of 7, a mother of 4, and I'm fiercely protective of my family, whether it pertains to COVID or anything else in life. And the Federation is my second family. And so I feel exactly the same way about my Federation family as I do my children, grandchildren, and my extended family. And that is, I want everyone to be safe. I want us to recognize that there are lots of us in the Federation who have underlying medical conditions. And because we love one another and because we want everyone to leave the convention as healthy as they were when they came, we as a board have made put these protocols in place just to make sure that happens. We would love to have 0 cases of COVID following the convention. Is that 100% possible? Probably not, but we certainly want to do our part. And, you know, again, I would urge people to think of it this way. If it was your child, you would do anything you could to protect that child. And if it's a member of your family, you would do the same. And hopefully, as a Federationist, I know our board as a whole and all of us as individuals felt strongly that we wanted to do all that we could to make it possible for everyone to feel safe and to have a great, joyous return to National Convention. So I'm getting ready by getting my testing done, stocking up on masks, and getting ready, getting all my Mardi Gras beads from past events ready, so that we can have a great convention together where everyone's safe and has a wonderful time.
Awesome. Thank you, Norma. We can't wait to see you and Glenn and
Me
all
too.
our great Texans who I know will be representing. So President Riccobono, we have a few questions related to our COVID protocols. So I wondered if you could share your thoughts. Our first question asks about when can a person provide their COVID test, their negative COVID test?
So happy to answer these questions, and hopefully it's helpful to folks to hear it in this format. You can also find all of the information about our safety protocols for the convention at nfb.org/convention. And I would urge you not to really overthink the principles here, because the goal is that we each do our part to keep each other safe. So when can you start providing test results? Well, not 10 days before the convention. We really cannot receive those more than 72 hours before you check into the hotel. So yes, if you're coming early to the convention, you're checking in on July 3, that's 72 hours before July 3rd. The goal here is especially to encourage people to test before you travel to New Orleans, because if for some reason you are COVID positive, you really want to think about not traveling because of the harmful impacts it could have on you and others. So not more than 72 hours before you check into the hotel. That means it can be less than 72 hours. If you want to test the evening before you travel and submit it, that's great. So 72 hours beforehand, and you will be able to submit those via email to testresults@nfb.org, and with a picture of the test that you've taken. Some people have talked about putting their iPhone in the shot so they have something that shows the date. Of course, your email will also be time-stamped, but it's also important that we have your first and last name and your state as you put it into your registration, so that we can match it up to your registration record. So you can submit it, or you can simply bring the photo with you to New Orleans. But if you do submit it in advance, it will speed up your getting a wristband. And the wristband is really the thing that will identify you as having submitted a negative COVID test.
And President Riccobono, can you clarify if there an age range, age limit for testing?
So we're really asking
or
that,
minimum?
yeah, everybody who's going to be participating in and around the convention get tested. So there is no age minimum. Certainly, if you're putting a child into NFB camp, we're asking that they be tested. Obviously, we want to make sure everybody in NFB camp remains safe. So if you're bringing family members that are going to be in and around the convention, everybody should be tested.
And so once a negative test is submitted, what should someone expect?
So yeah, you can submit your negative test in advance to testresults@nfb.org, or starting July 4th, you can find this information in the agenda. You can get tested on site at the convention hotel. Once you've been tested on site, or you've submitted your information in advance with negative test, you can come by our distribution area, and you can get one of these beautiful, I have it here, orange wristbands that says "Together in NOLA 2022" in Braille.
Love it.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. And this wristband is your key to getting into convention sessions. We really want to make sure everybody has at least this wristband. Now, you also need this wristband to pick up your name tag and registration materials. So if you have your name badge at the convention, we assume you have your wristband because you couldn't get the name tag otherwise. So either one, but get the wristband. I would say just keep wearing it all week. to show that you have tested negative and you've gone through our protocols. So that's really your ticket to make sure you can be participating in convention sessions.
Excellent. Okay. And what if someone needs to request a modification or an accommodation regarding our protocols?
So we do recognize that there are individuals whose doctors have given them modifications or who may request modifications for some other reason. We intend to fulfill our obligations as an organization under the law to evaluate and offer modifications as needed. We ask that you send your modification request and any documentation related to it to Scott LeVar, who is our general counsel. His email address is SLABBA. Let me try that again. I can't spell on the fly. His email address is SLABARRE@nfb.org. We do ask that you do that before the convention so that we can let you know. We will reply to your request, and if your modification request is granted, we'll certainly give you an email that you can then have on your phone or that you can print out in case you're asked about the modification in person.
Awesome. Okay. And we also had a couple questions. If someone is still testing positive, but they are outside of the range of the quarantine guidelines recommended by the CDC, what should they do?
So, of course, we always defer to CDC guidance if you've had COVID. And by the way, I've had COVID as well. So I agree with Norma that certainly want to help anybody avoid it if you can. We defer to the CDC guidance in terms of time you should quarantine. And we do recognize that people can continue to test positive even if they're cleared by CDC guidance to be out in the world. So we just encourage you to get a letter from your doctor, and many people have done this and needed it in other settings where a negative test is required. Get a letter from your doctor noting that you are clear, that you may continue to test positive. You can send that letter in just like you would a negative test result to testresults@nfb.org. And I would also encourage you to carry that letter with you just in case you need it. Of course, you may still want to test and see if you test negative, would encourage that, but that letter option is available if you're someone that has had COVID recently.
Okay. And what if someone starts to have symptoms while they are at convention?
So we do want you to take that seriously. If you're having symptoms, you could come by and get tested if our testing operation is still open. Also, we've provided guidelines, resources on our website about where you can get tested in New Orleans. We would encourage you to pursue that. I know some people have at-home tests that they're bringing with them just in case. We would encourage you to do that. The hotel has extensive procedures if someone does test positive to help them with quarantining for the 5 days. And if you do find that you're positive, you can let the hotel know and they will activate that. So I would encourage you to take any symptoms that you're having while traveling very seriously and get them checked out.
Excellent. Well, it is so great to be with both of you this morning. I know how much Roland and I are looking forward to seeing you and all of our Louisiana family. Can't wait to welcome everyone. So President Riccobono, do you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, the idea here is for us to put some procedures together that keeps us all safe. We can all sit around and think up odd things that will happen, or what are we going to do about this? Keep in mind that we all have to be part of the solution, and so we should use common sense. And I would encourage everybody who's coming to the convention to use common sense to make sure that all of us can be as safe as possible. Our goal as leaders is not to walk around and yell at people if they don't have a mask on right at that moment, or harass people about where their wristbands are, because we recognize that Federation members take seriously the community that we have. And so we trust that our members will do the right thing. They'll help to keep all of us safe, and they'll all be part of the solution. So I'd ask everybody for patience, and would throw it over to Norma to see if she has anything else to add.
I would just say that both Glenn and I are really excited about being able to see everyone again. It's been a really long time. The energy of National Convention is something that's hard to replace with a Zoom meeting. And so we are anxious to see everyone, and laissez les bon temps rouler.
All right. Well, we will look forward to seeing you soon. I know how much coming together in our Federation community at convention gives us all so much hope and love and energy. So see you soon. Thank you, everybody.